Hey everyone, this Swarm HR help video is going to talk about how to use the ATS module. So let's go under the user access dropdown and click on ATS. So in ATS, we can see that it has 12 different modules. There's the candidates, requirements, my submissions, all submissions, interview status, references, vendors, clients, suppliers, configuration, import candidates, and ATS applications. For vendors, clients, and suppliers, we've already covered that in our previous videos, so you guys can take a look at that. But right now we're going to cover the candidates module. So here in the candidate profiles, you can see the candidate names over here, the title, the visa type, the visa validity. So this one has no visa validity, the bill rate, the location, points, who it was created by, and here are the different action buttons over here. So in the action button, the first one we can just click on view and edit. So here's the basic information of our employee. So here's his first name, last name. It gives it in a set of tables. So if you want, you can click on the option new document, which again allows you to create the document title, the type, what kind of file to attach, and then you can hit upload. And then if you want, you can get a new skill. So first type the skill, rate the difficulty from 1 to 10, the experience, and when it was last used. And if you want, you can add more skills, and you hit save. Note, since this is a test, we're not actually going to be doing this because it also takes quite a bit of time, but you guys should understand based on what we're saying over here. And here's the new reference button. So here we can just put the reference full name, the designation, email, contact number, the best way to reach, and we can hit save. And here we just have something update info. This just keeps updating the info, so that way any old information isn't lost. And again, this is just the skill set, reference, documents, basically what we just saw before. And if we no longer want these, we can either delete them. And if we just want to view them, we can just click on view. Now our second button, we have email profile. So again, email profile, it just says from the email, so that's just by default. You can't change it. You can send to who, you can just send to anyone you want. You can CCC and BCC, and here's the subject and the message. And then here's a document that you can attach. And if you want to view, you can click on view document. And then you can also add more attachments, and you can hit send. Our third action button, this one is just submit profile. So if we click on that, this one you just got to type in a requirement name, which allows you to view the details. And again, note, since this is a test, you're not going to see much the details because again, this takes a bit of time. So we guys are just showing you right now what's going to happen so you can know what happens in the future terms. So we can hit close. So here, the fourth one, we have skill set. So if we click on that, again, this one's just the same as before. We can just add a skill, the rating, the experience, and when it was last used. And we can update or hit delete. And then here's documents. This one just says the title of the document, what the document type is, the title stamp. This one is by default. Title stamp and uploaded by, so you can't change it. And we can update, view, or delete document, and if you want, you can add a new document. Here we have reference. So if we click on that, currently there are no references associated to the profile, but if you want, you can click on new reference. Again, this just allows you to enter the reference full name, the designation, the email, the contact number, and the best way to reach them. And then you can hit save. Then here we have the logs button. So if we click on that, this allows you to have a conversation with the specific person. So here we can have a conversation with Rama Rao. So here we can send a message, the date, the time, and we can hit save. We also have log email, log meeting, log LinkedIn, and send email. Just different options. And finally, we have block candidate. So this just allows you to say, are you sure you want to block the candidate? So we can hit OK. But again, since this is a test, we're just going to hit cancel. So above here, you can see there are different options in the candidate profile. So currently we just looked at my candidates. There's hot list, my bookmark, block candidates, and all. So in hot list, currently we have no candidates to view. My bookmark, no candidates. Here are just block candidates. Again, what we saw before, candidates that are no longer there. And this just allows you to view every candidate. Now, suppose if we want these hot list and my bookmark to appear, we need to click on the option New Candidate. So again, this just allows you to enter basic information. So let's say I want to enter a name called Oliver Queen. Title, I can say just test, because again, this is just a test. Date of birth, we can say August 14th, 1991. The mobile number, we'll just say 33333. Email, we can say oliver@email.com. So again, whatever is not marked in an asterisk is not required, so we don't have to put in the address, but for the sake, we'll just do it. And we can hit save. But first we have to fill out this field. Now we can hit save. So now if you go into my candidates, we have Oliver Queen, the one we just created, the title, which is just test, the visa type, the bill date, the location, and so on. And if we want here, we can just copy to clipboard. We can CSV, which just allows you to download the Excel document. And this just allows you to view your table. The table we see over here, it allows you to view it in an Excel sheet. And then we can print. which just simply allows you to print the table in a PDF format. And if we go to hot list right now, still no candidates to view. Now let's take a look at the requirements module. So let's click on requirements. So as you can see in the requirement modules, you have many different action buttons: the title, the bill date, contract type, the work authorization, priority, location, client details, manager, and status. And if you want, you have these options, which just simply allow you to copy the table. You can CSV or keep it in an Excel file, or just print it. And here are 4 different options. You have the My Requirements button, the My Bookmarks, Closed Requirements, and if you want to view all of them, you can view all of them. But first, let's click on the top blue button that says New Requirement. So we click on that. Let's give it a title, Test. And the contract type, we can say Intern. The duration for months, let's say 3 months. The bill rate, we can say per hour, let's say $8. And the start date, we can say August 2nd. And if it's a remote job, we'll just say no. Location address, we can just say 123 West Fake address. Location city, we'll just say Fakeville. Location country, we can say USA. Zip code, we can just make up a zip code. Location state, let's say Colorado. Priority, we can just give it medium. The requirement documents, let's say we require them a visa and also an ID. And do we want to share requirements to supplier? We'll just say no. Requirement notes, we'll just say test intern job. So interview mode, you can say none. No off positions, we can also just say none. Well, we don't have to, because we don't have to type anything in there. So here's the skill set. Again, since this is a test, we're just going to be writing just test or just none. So if it doesn't make sense, just remember this is just a test. Once you're actually doing it, you're going to actually have to include a real industry, a real address, and a real-time experience. So let's here see in the client details, we can see the vendor, we can say archive. The client, well, you can select first the contact person, which is Sean, let's say, and we can get his number and email by default. We also have the contact number by default. And let's add some client notes, test client. The organization information, again, we can keep it as a super admin, the manager, Tom Cruise. Let's say we assign to Snowbanks. Notes will just say test information. And let's hit save. But first we have to select this. Please select an item to field for work authorization. And we can just say OPT. And now we hit save. So now, as you can see here, here's what we created, the title test. We put bill $8 per hour. We put it as intern, work authorization OPT. So in other words, here's our table with all the details. And here are the different action buttons. We can just view and edit the details if we want. We can change the title, just any information over here. And then we just have to hit the update button, so it saves. So here's our second button. We can click on view submissions. So this just takes you to a new window, and here it just says all your requirement details, who your recruiters are working, the pipeline submission, internal submission, vendor submission. And again, since this is just a test, we currently have none of these right now. And if we want, we can just click on new internal submission. You can just add the candidate name here and we can view details. Or we can just hit this refresh button just to make sure any information isn't lost. And if we want, we can also remove recruiters working on the requirement. But again, there are none. Well, there is one, which is Snowbanks. So you can remove him if you want. But for now, we just don't want to. And if you also want, you can assign new recruiter. So let's say we can add new recruiter like Willie and Brack Kristen. You can just hit assign. And you should get new recruiters over here, Snowbanks and Will Crane. Well, I'm sorry, Brack Kristen and Will Crane. If you want, you can add some more requirement notes. So let's just say test notes. And we can click on add notes. And you should get a message from the manager, Tom Cruise, who says test notes. So here are 3 different buttons over here. This one is change status. Again, this just the existing status is open, so we can't change that. That's by default. And if we want, we can change it to internal submission, external submission, or interview. Here we also have close requirements. So this just says the requirement has been complete, and we can still view the submissions and relevant documents, but you cannot modify and make submissions because you already closed it. And we have activity. This again just puts it in a table format. Just all the activity details, its time, and who was it performed by. Here we have copy requirements. So again, this just allows you to save a copy. It's pretty much the same thing as view edit, but instead of just having the previous one, it makes another one. So we hit close. Here we have share. So this one, just you can select the supplier to share the requirement. So if you want to select all of them, just click on this button. But we're just going to choose A&E Corp 1 A2 supplier, and we can just hit share requirements. And the requirements currently are shared to Dell, Tech Soft Solutions, and Ramsden Ind Inc. But now it's shared to A2 supplier and AE Corp 1. Just whatever we added from our table. And we can hit close. And last, we have view activity. This just lets you, the same as before, lets you view the activity details, the time, and who was it performed by. So here's our second button. We can click on My Bookmark. Again, this is just stuff that have already been bookmarked, and this is the closed requirements. So we already, with the one that where we clicked on the option closed requirements, anything should be over here. And here is our test data because we already closed the requirements, and it also has like separate action buttons if you want. So pretty much they should all be similar, except we have one new one, which is just change status. So you can just update the status to be open, and we can add some notes, and we just hit save. And if you click this last button, all, again, this just lets you view every single requirements, whether it's closed, bookmarked, or just simply a new requirement. Now let's take a look at My Submissions module. So in here we can see three different buttons. There's internal submission, external submission, and closed submission. And here we can see the requirements, the candidate names, title, contact, timestamp, status, the source date, and whatever files were attached to it. And again, if you want, you can just click on view. But first we're going to create new submission. So we just hit this green button. So requirement, let's just say test 1. The candidate, we can say Oliver Queen, and we can hit view details. And here we can get the requirement details in a table. So we can have the title, the bill rate, the contract type, location, city, and the vendor. So this is the requirement details of the candidate Oliver Queen, or at least what he needs to do. That's his requirement. So this is a literal detail of him. Who is Oliver Queen, his mobile number, the visa type, his total experience, and his title. And here we have the source rate. If we want, let's say we can edit that to $8 per hour. The contract type, we'll just say CTC, and you can just send this to whoever email you want. And you can also CC and BCC to someone. And here's the subject and the message. And here are the documents. If you want, you can just click on view document. And if you want, you can add document. And you can just click submit to profile. But in order to do that, we actually have to fill in whatever is marked in an asterisk. But again, since this is a test, we're not going to do this for you. So we can just simply just exit out, hit close. So then here's external submission. So in external submission, you have two different action buttons, just view and edit. You can also change its status, and you have closed submissions. Again, those are just submissions that have already been closed, and the only thing you can really do is just change its status. You can't really edit it because, again, it's closed. And then you have these four different options, as we talked in the previous video. Here we have all submissions, and if we click on all submissions, it's pretty much the same thing as my submissions. Again, you have the same table over here, well, at least similar table with whatever details you have to do as for my submissions. And we also have the three different buttons over here: internal submission, external submission, closed submission, and if we want to create a new submission. So pretty much very similar to my submission. Next, we're going to take a look at interview status module. So let's click on it. So once you click on it, you should see below a list of details, just its requirement ID, the name, the candidate ID, the name of the candidate, the organization ID, the interviewer name, its start date, end date, its start time, end time, and the interview status. Either the status can be closed, can be rejected, or the interviews by the client and the vendor. But first, let's click on this top green button called New Interview. So again, we just have to type in a requirement name. Let's say business marketing. The candidate, let's type in P. Rakesh. The interviewer name, let's just say test Jason. Start date, let's say August 5th. End date, we can just say August 6th. Start time, we'll just say something like 3. End time, we can just say 2. Well, sorry, 5. The time zone, we'll put Eastern time zone. And the interview status, let's just say it's internal rejection. And we can click here to get an email body. We can record and send, and we can record interview. So let's click on this button, click here to get email body. So again, this one just says whom it's from, and this also allows you to send to whoever you want, and BCC and CC just allows you to send to multiple different people. And then here's our message. Here's the document. And here, if we want, we can just record and send. And we can also record the interview. Note, again, this is just a test, so we're actually not going to be doing recording interview and recording send. But pretty much that's all. And we just hit close. Let's take a look at the reference module. So let's click on references. So here, as we can see the candidate name, the name of that reference, the designation, contact number, the email, and the best way to reach out that person. And if you can view status, either it has as verified, pending, or you can verify. But for now, let's look at these two different buttons first, which is all references, and you can also look at my bookmark. So again, my bookmark currently has no reference to view. Let's go back to all reference. Let's click on Tori Kikaffer, and the status can be verified. So here we can see the candidate verification, the project work, company, the duration, the year, communication skills, knowledge of the subject, team member, regular to work, comments, and initials. So some of them are just XYZ, ABC, again, because this is just a test. But to end it on a short note, this is the candidate verification. We can also click on, if we go here for Atif Siddiq, we can click on verify. So again, verify, that just allows you to send to whom you want, which is ragavi@wellsfargo.com, and you can CC and BCC to someone else, and the subject and message are already there by default. And if you want, we can hit send. And again, you just have these 4 different options, just like last time. Lastly, we're going to cover the configuration module. We're not going to cover import candidates because that one's already very similar to data exchange under HR Access, or should I say it's the exact same thing, just importing data, Excel sheets. So you guys can take a look at that in our previous videos. But for now, we're going to go into configuration. So if we go into configuration, we can see like the list of configurations it has: the work authorization, the candidate education, the contract type, requirement status, the requirement titles, the rate frequency, the interview modes, requirement priority, if we want to add any candidate titles, the requirement documents, industry, candidate visa types, and the degree. And here we just have buttons which update, again, which just saves any information. Suppose we can add like a work authorization, let's say I-9, and we hit update. And now you can see it's automatically saved in work authorization. It pretty much applies for everything else over here too, so it's pretty simple, self-explanatory. That's it for the video. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our email is in the description below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to get more information. Thank you.